And with pick 233, the Eagles' final selection of the 2020 NFL Draft, they take defensive end Casey Toohill out of Stanford. The Eagles addressing the defensive line for the first time in this draft. Ross, what do you make of this selection?
Well, I love this pick at this moment for the Eagles because to be able to get a guy like Toohill, who had double-digit tackles for loss, he had 8 sacks for Stanford last year, rushing off the edge. He ran a 4.6 at the combine at 250 pounds. So again, showing some rare speed for that size. And he's got a plan. I mean, he's got some legitimate pass rush skills. The knock on him is that he's not great against the run yet. I don't think the Eagles care that much about that. I mean, right now, he's a guy that will compete to be a situational edge rusher. They got a lot of young guys out there behind Derek Barnett and Brandon Graham. Toohill is the newest guy and the next guy that they're going to add to that mix.
Yeah, great point there with the young guys. So adding to the mix with Josh Sweat, Joel Osman, Deshaun Hall, Jannard Avery, Sharif Miller. So plenty of competition there. Fran, this is a guy that was at the East-West Shrine Bowl, a Stanford athlete, which always comes with this reputation of an incredibly high IQ, intellectual student athlete. What did you learn from him from your time around him in Mobile?
I'll tell you what, I was around him a little bit at the Shrine Bowl, but then I spent a long time with him at the Combine, probably like 10, 12 minutes at his podium because he talked for a long time, and he was awesome. Like, I got so much information out of Casey Toohill. Was a great guy to talk to. We talked about some of his teammates, some of the guys he's gone up against, gave me some scouting reports on players that he had gone up. It's just a really good guy to talk to, so I came away really, really liking the kid. On the field, this is a guy that was a 3-4 outside linebacker for Stanford. Typically was kind of the strong side linebacker. So you're talking about somebody who was setting the edge, he was dropping back in coverage, and then he would also rush the passer. I liked his competitiveness, and I thought he was effective as well on stunts and twists. And that's something that the Eagles do run a good amount of up front. When you look at their defensive line schemes, they do a lot of twisting in and out with their defensive tackles and defensive ends. That's an area where I feel like he could make a little bit of an impact this summer. Keep an eye out for him on the move in this Eagles defensive front.
And Ross, let's continue to break down his game a little bit and just how you see him fitting into a Jim Schwartz defense and what he likes to do with his defensive linemen, constantly attacking the quarterback, putting pressure on the opposing QB.
Well, and he's another guy, Amy, that there's a lot of untapped potential. You know, just reading some of the reports about him and talking with people, there's a belief that he's got a real chance a couple years from now to be a legitimate edge rusher in the NFL. So right now, he's not good anchoring at the point of attack against the run or using his hands. Right now, he is a dynamic edge rusher, but that's the more important position. Look, I was offensive lineman. We can all talk all we want about stopping the run, but you got to be able to get after the quarterback. And now they've got 5 or 6 young guys. You named them all, Amy. They're going to be battling it out for a couple of roster spots like we talked about at wide receiver, at linebacker. That's what you want. You want to be cutting good players or putting good players down on the practice squad. And to Fran's point about how he was at the Combine, this guy was a finalist for the Campbell Trophy that Justin Herbert won. That's like the academic Heisman for college football players. So he's not just a Stanford guy. He's an elite of the Stanford guys academically, being able to articulate himself well, which is why Fran spent so much time with him.
And to your point too, Ross, this is a guy, when we talk about the Combine workout, you know, when you get to this point in the draft, right, you're in round 7, you're trying to find elite traits to be able to hang your hat on. This is a guy who's over 250 pounds. He jumped out of the gym. I mean, the numbers on his jumps, he went over 10 feet, 10 and a half feet on the broad, and he went 39 inches on the vert. Those are outstanding numbers, especially for a guy who's 250 pounds. His shuttle times were very good as well. So you're talking about a player who, at his size, is very, very athletic. So you're betting on athletic upside. This was probably not a player that you were going to be able to try and risk, oh, can we get him an undrafted free agency? Those are the kinds of guys you typically take in round 7. A guy that maybe you really like, and you're like, we have to make sure we get this guy. We do not want to lose him in undrafted free agency. Casey Toohill is certainly one of those kinds of players when you look at his profile.
Okay, so Casey Toohill, defensive end from Stanford, the final pick for the Eagles in what looks like a very well-rounded class. What started with 8 picks has turned into 10. Here you're seeing it right here, all of the new additions to this Eagles team, and it is going to be so exciting to see these guys come in and compete, to see who surprises us, to see who takes this thing to the next level, who grabs a hold of this opportunity. A very exciting class there as well. I want to thank everyone for hanging with us on Eagles Draft Central, presented by Dietz and Watson. Thank you, Fran, and thank you, Ross, for your analysis. And every one of you for rolling with us all day long, all 3 days, but especially today, as it's just been wild with all of the moves. So exciting. I hope you had as much fun as we did. And as always, the press conferences with Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson, Andy Weidel, and all of the new Eagles will continue to be on our website, PhiladelphiaEagles.com, and all of our streaming platforms. Until next time, have a good night.